Hello, welcome to Walpole United WFC.
Hello, welcome back to Walpole United WFC. It's another match day week and it's another match day disappointment. Who would have thought? And another disappointing thing, you've got me instead of John. He's part-time in this show at the moment. Dropped it on me last minute yesterday. Oh, by the way, you're hosting tomorrow. Here I am again. So fill me with a little bit of hope. But I've got a star-studded panel, as I always say. How is everybody doing, firstly?
Yeah, good. Thank you, mate. Good.
All good.
Very good, thank you.
Glad to hear it. Let's get straight into we'll talk about the game itself first thing, because obviously you guys weren't on the reaction show that we did yesterday, but it'd be interesting to get all of your thoughts on it. I'll go around the table just briefly before we go into a bit more in depth. Stu, just your kind of initial reaction when you saw the result, 1 each away at West Ham.
My problem is I've been in football way too long to get any kind of surprise. I played in games where you'd expect to go and win, and for whatever reason, you can't seem to put the passes together. You can't seem to find the space that you normally find. You can't seem to get your touch right. You can't seem to get your head in right. There's just a multitude of things that maybe you put your shin pads on the wrong way. Instead of doing it left to right, you did it right to left. It's just one of those. And I think for Mark, I think he's dealing with a very, very small squad compared to likes of Chelsea, compared to likes of Arsenal and Manchester City. And I think if you were to look at it from where we started as to where we are today, it's not uncommon to have a bit of a blip in a season. And we had a few blips at the very beginning. We were well beaten, by Chelsea. Arsenal beat us. We got that draw with City. But I just think that the current squad, the current injuries that we've got, going away, the distance, because they don't live in a life of luxury like the men do, etc. And I know people will look at it and think, well, just get on with it, you're a professional footballer. But it's a little bit different in the women's game. And I'm not so sure we're fit enough. If I'm being 100% honest, I think we've got a fitness issue. But if you don't play for 90, 95 minutes and you switch off for that 1 second, even at any level of football, the inevitable can happen, and it just appears that's just happened a little bit too often. But I mean, I know you'll touch on it later. When you look at the positional play of like Katie Zelem, for example, playing at centre back, she's been one of our standout performers actually over the last couple of months in midfield. We clearly missed her drive. Russo, I felt lacked a bit of energy. I just thought, for me, I think he's got a slight issue at the minute, in as much as I think he's got to work out how to pick the girls up and how to get that energy back into them. And I think if I was him, I'd put in minimal training now between now and our next match. I think we've got a match. We got Everton, haven't we, on the 27th, and then we got the international break. So I would put in a bit of minimal training and just concentrate on fitness between now and then, and just see what happens, because we've got a tough run in. We've got to go away to Chelsea on the last day, and we could end up needing a result. It just depends on what City do. But as I said when we were, before we came on, lads, look, you can't rely on anybody else. If you want to make top three, you've got to make top three on your own merits, not by City dropping points. It's really down to us now to push on for this last 100 metres, so to speak.
Yeah, definitely. And Joe, obviously, welcome to the channel. Obviously, it's you're our West Ham representative for today. So it'd be interesting to hear it from your side on just what you thought of the game, because we all, I don't know whether you were there or not, but as United fans, we were very deflated walking out of the ground. It's the lowest, I think, since Spurs away. That's one of the worst I've felt walking away from the ground. Obviously, I mean, you guys are obviously quite happy with it. How did you think the game went? Did it go as you expected it? How do you feel from a West Ham perspective? Did it go?
Hello, first of all, boys. I do feel outnumbered, so be nice, right? Because you're very loud as well in the stands. I could hear you shouting from where I was on the side there, yeah. But yeah, thanks for asking us on as well. I actually thought the game I thought it was pretty evenly matched. It's something that I kind of expected. I thought actually it would be 2-2. I think that's what I predicted. I thought you'd come out of all guns blazing, if I'm honest, in the first half. And I thought we'd be playing catch up. But we've had some great results recently as well. We don't stop fighting. We don't give up. Unlike Man United at the moment, I was actually surprised by what I saw, that there was like a lack of fight. Has that been happening a lot with you guys, or?
It seems to be a fitness thing more than anything. I think that's a question. That's a question I've got for you, really, because one of the things that I would have thought with West Ham was that we would tire you out, because that was your third game in 7 days, I believe. One of them was Chelsea, and the game at the weekend, then today, and you play again this weekend. I thought we would have been like outrunning you in the last 20 minutes, but anyone who watched it or was there would say you were. If that game would have gone on 10, 15 more minutes, I think you probably would have beaten us. So a West Ham look kind of a really fit squad then, or do you just think our lack of fitness cost us in the end?
I was surprised at your lack of fitness, to be fair. For the position that you're in, I expect you to be fitter, if I'm honest. And I think that's actually probably going to end up costing you the third position as well at the end of the season. That's my thought on what I've seen. But as far as we're concerned with fitness, a couple of seasons ago, you would have thrashed us when you first came in, because we wouldn't have been fit enough, without question. But now, with Ollie come in, the state-of-the-art facilities, the training, and I think it's the mentality as well of the squad. I think it's all the right corny thing, all the right ingredients coming together as well, and the backroom staff are just immense as well. And I think that's what it is, and that's why you can see the fight in us as well. But we've also had our injuries as well. People just coming back, just getting themselves pretty fit as well. But yeah, the level of fitness has been the best I've ever seen the squad, to be fair, for West Ham women.
Yeah, it's Andrew, I'll come to you then just for your initial thought. But we're just quickly on the fitness. I know we're going to talk about it more in depth, but I will just say as well, I've mentioned to the guys backstage before we came on that we spoke to a couple of the players and the manager afterwards. Obviously, as you can imagine, United players were kind of strolling out very deflated. The West Ham girls, they were jumping. Some of them were running out and everything. I thought, how have you still got energy? Like they were so energetic coming out of that. And I guess it uplifting scoring a late goal. I couldn't believe that how they're still so fit after all of that. And like I said, still a game to come, obviously at the weekend. Andrew, just your initial thoughts, and obviously you were talking in our group chat, disappointed as the rest of us. What did you think on the draw?
I felt like we enjoyed the better chances and had obviously the great amount of, I'd say, meaningful possession. I mean, in terms of like the first half, it was like we had a number of chances through. I remember Galton, Toon, Russo, even Thomas had that long range shot. I thought, that's nearly going in, and their goalkeeper managed to keep it out. And I was thinking, we had a lot of possession and we was controlling it very well. And then I think in the last 5 minutes, the first half, we really like pushing to get that goal ahead, but. It's more in the second half we were slightly in control, and then obviously we got ahead through Toon's acrobatic kicking inside the box as well. And what was the good thing about that was Galton was instrumental in creating that goal. She kept the ball alive once Zellerman fired in the corner, so those Galton and Toon linked up really well. So we deservedly got ahead, but then we sort of starting to lose, and it was control and got scrapping. And to be fair to West Ham, they dug in, they were strong, especially in defence-wise. I was really impressed by Sissoko at right backs. There was a few moments where she stopped us from scoring even more. So, but yeah, it's just.
I'm surprised she stayed on the pitch though, Sissoko. She likes a kick, doesn't she?
Yeah. But I think
Oi.
She does that. Last time I thought she got sent off.
That's why we love her, though. To be fair, yeah. Sorry, Andrew. Yeah.
two yellows, wasn't it? She reminds me of the Arsenal girl at the back. What's the left back? What's her name?
McCabe, you thinking of?
McCabe, I like McCabe as well. Yeah, my types of players.
Passionate. That's what we're calling. They've got passion. That's what they've got.
Go on then.
Go on, carry on, Andrew.
Yeah, I think the most disappointing from our side is just seeing us peg back again and dropping points, like you said. And I think that's probably the lowest since that Tottenham game where we conceded such late on. just keeping West Ham at bay, but just that one moment from the corner and two said afterwards. I was like, yeah, I should have done better, but it is what it is. It's now like 8 points we've dropped in like the last final 15 minutes of 4 different games. So we've not been able to grind out a 1-0 win this season. So it's just a bit concerning when we've gone 1-0 up. We've not, and when it's been those tight games, we've not been able to see it out. So I just think for us, dropping those 2 points, we just hope it doesn't, for us fans, the players, Skinner and his coaching team, it doesn't prove costly in the end and we miss out on Champions League football again. But I say it's in our hands at the moment, but I just don't want it to slip out of our hands.
Yeah, definitely. I actually calculated it as 11 points as well, I believe. I know the article that came out the other day said 8. I've actually got it as 11 because it was City twice, Spurs, Everton, West Ham.
Yeah.
I think it is 11 points. But yeah, sorry, Joe, were you going to jump in on that?
And I was just going to echo really from Andrew. I think like if you ask any West Ham United season ticket holder, they're going to feel exactly the same as you Man United fans. At the beginning of the season, we was doing the same with you. We kept dropping the points at the last minute. So many matches. I've not got the stats on that. No, sorry, boys. But, and it's still disappointing to think that we could be 3rd or 4th now if we hadn't dropped those points. And now I see there's so many teams around that. It's such an exciting WSL league this season. It's got to be the best ever. It's got to be. So it can be anyone's game. And I think that's why all the fans are more disappointing, because there's so many, if only we'd have got these points, if only we'd have just done this. And there's so many instances with around 4 or 5 teams, I think, that should be fighting for the 3rd and 4th all the time.
Yeah, because I think Anthony made the point on yesterday's show that if we it kind of relates to Nat's comment there, that if we don't, I think it is the stat, we've only won 1 game when we've only scored once, and that was Arsenal and the Conte. Other than that, every game we've only scored 1 goal, we've either drew or lost. So it's not good. John, I'll just come to you then on your thoughts before we go more in depth about the game. What was your kind of initial reaction to it?
General frustration, like all of us, apart from Joe, of course. But basically, I thought the first half, I thought we played good football in the first half. We created a few chances. We were unlucky with a few chances. Like there were a few good tackles by West Ham defenders stop us from. I mean, there was one where the goalkeeper parried him. You thought Goldsman was going to get the end of it in the centre half tackled her. And but so it was obviously 0-0 at half time. We went 1-0 up with Tooney. Obviously got lucky goal with the deflection there, but you take it first goal this calendar year in the league, and but at that point I think West Ham started to come more into the game, and obviously a lot of those games early in the season when it came to dropping points, and you thought, hopefully we would have learned from them, and then when West Ham equalised late on, it was just a shattering blow. And fair play to West Ham though, they did deserve a draw in the end, because I don't think we tried going for the second goal, but that's due to Sinus or wanted to control the game, that allowed West Ham to come on to us a bit, and in the end they got their rewards. And it's obviously still in our hands, so you have to keep that positive, but it's going to be difficult to keep it going for the rest of the season.
Yeah, definitely. Lansel, I see your comment about Skinner. We'll come back to that later in the show when we move on from the West Ham game, because I'm pretty sure Stu will want to come back to that one as well. So I will come back to that question. I'm just sticking with West Ham, Stu. Then, was there any positives to take from that? Skinner and Ella Toon's interview was very interesting. Actually, they both talked about a lot of positives in the game. I'm trying to stay as positive as possible. I think there was a few. I think, in fact, no, I'll just let you, before I had my say yesterday on my positive. Were there any positives to take out of Wednesday's draw?
I mean, there's always a positive in any football match, whether you win, lose, or draw. Obviously, the more positives are when you win, less positives when you draw or lose. But if you were to look at it from a whole, I thought there was some standout performances. But it's all about our control. With Zellum at centre half, we lack that control in the middle of the park. And I've said before, and I'll keep saying it again, when you've got players like McCabe and you've got players like Sissoko, who are rogue players, they're just savage at times. We don't have that real intent. So as good as Galton was for the build-up of the goal, Sissoko or McCabe, that type of player will always have Galton in their pocket because she hasn't got that aggression. And we so desperately, desperately need some form of aggression within our team. I'm not saying that we're weak-minded or anything like that, because we suffer the same with the men's. We don't have any real aggressors within our unit, and unfortunately we don't have it with the girls. We need an aggressor in there. If you take Lad out the equation, which obviously we have at the moment, then we lack a little bit of spirit and a little bit of fight. You need somebody in games like that when you've gone 1-0 up and you're playing okay but not brilliantly. You need somebody who can hold the ball. You need this outlet. And I'm not just talking about getting it to Russo and letting Russo run into the corner. I'm talking about someone who can play with their back to goal, somebody who can hold the ball up, shield the ball well, and hold the ball until players can come on to them. So I'm not even talking about getting the ball, shielding it and knocking it back 10 yards. I'm talking about holding it and switching to the left or switching to the right with it at your feet, and then bringing players into play. We just, again, we don't have that. We lack that that real presence up top, really. And it's a real shame because, look, I like the way that Russo plays. I like the way the team plays. You know this. Sina Brunt, when she's fit, I take it she's injured, but when she's fit, she gives us that 6 yard, that penalty box. That's where she lives. That's her home. And when you take that out of the equation, again, we will always lack that cutting edge because we just haven't got a big enough squad. So I think if I was Skinner, when we'd gone 1-0 up, I would have re-looked at how we were playing. I would have re-looked at our personnel, shuffled some stuff around a little bit, and tried to play with a hold-up player. Somebody, as much as, again, if you get the ball and you hold it and you've got to commit a foul to get them off you, you do, because at least if you commit a foul on the 60, 70-yard line, sounds a little bit like American football there, don't I? But around the penalty box area, you've then got to force the opposition to go long or go short. Ultimately, what I'm saying is they've got to start again. So you've got to break up the play, and we just don't do that. And there's a consequence. You allow teams to come on to you, and teams then gather confidence. West Ham gathered confidence with that. As we were dropping deeper and deeper and deeper and giving West Ham more of the ball, they gained confidence in that. And I think the girl that scored was her first goal, I think, wasn't it, for West Ham, if I'm not mistaken?
Joe will be able to correct us on that one.
Was it her first goal for West Ham?
It's not her first goal. She's just come back after an injury for 2 games.
Come back
So it's been a while.
okay.
Yeah. So
right.
it's a massive boost for her. But I think that's the belief, though, Stu. I do think it's a part of that belief.
What I was trying to talk about, as I was trying to say, as we dropped a little bit deeper, we allowed you to grow into the game. Look, there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, and to be honest, Joe, you've got to take your chance when you have it, and you did. So for me, Skinner got it slightly wrong. All the players got it wrong because, when you're on that pitch, and I've said this before, Andrew will laugh at me now, and so will Connor. I say this before about player responsibility and, being able to apply what you're doing, what you're taught in the week to on the pitch. You should be able to apply everything and then have the common sense to understand what's happening to you during the game. But look, the other thing about this is you have to credit West Ham because you're looking at a team that stayed in the game. We could have gone 2 or 3-0 up, but we didn't. West Ham stayed in the game. And West Ham's, when a team stays in the game, it does build confidence, as Joe quite rightly said. So that's her, Fisk, John. I couldn't think of a name. Apologies, but it's Fisk. That's it. I didn't know she was injured. Apologies, Joe. But it's good to see. And West Ham will gain confidence from that. We've got to pick ourselves back up. It's a big difference between West Ham's version of a draw and Manchester United's version of a draw. That's what I would have done anyway. Yeah. I would have had some hold-up play in there and just cause problems.
It's interesting you mentioned hold-up play because, Joe, I think, you'll be able to give it, obviously, because you know from West Ham. Somebody who has been doing that recently is Martha Thomas. Obviously, she wasn't doing that, or she didn't maybe have the opportunity to do that on the game on Wednesday night. What do you think from looking at it from maybe an outside? Because we're going to be slightly biased towards our own players. Who were the kind of standout performances from a United point of view? Firstly, for you, who did you think played well in a United shirt, and where do you think they could have maybe excelled a bit more? Like
I'm surprised that Stu saying about Gorton, because where I was sitting on the wing, I thought she had a really decent game, to be fair. Katie Zellum as well was pretty much of a standout. I understand that wasn't her position, but to be fair, I thought considering she was always seemed to be on the ball, commanding what needed to be done. So yeah, we went in. If you speak to any West Ham season ticket holder, we went in believing that we'd be a draw. We think that we know we're sort of like around the same mark on par on how our teams are and how we play. So we expected to be coming away with a draw. So we were really disappointed because we thought we was going to lose at the end. We was getting really frustrated. So kind of that's how we feel as West Ham's fans. I'm not speaking for every single one, but a majority of them.
I was going to say some of them gave us some grief at the end of the game, weren't they? Some of them turned around.
Yeah, just a quick one on Galton, Joe. What she tends to do is she'll attack and then she'll kind of go back on herself way too much for my liking. I like a winger or a striker who just goes at Sissoko. It would have been, wouldn't it? You know. And sometimes there are players, I'm not saying Galton's anywhere like this, but you know your opposition. If you know your opposition, you know when you come up against Sissoko, you've got to get your elbows out. You've got to do a bit of this, do a bit of that, because she's going to pull your shirt. She's going to grab your hair. She's going to do all the shithousery stuff that I like to call it. And to me, Galton, as much as I like her as a player, and I think she's a very, very, very good player, she lacks that nastiness that you've got to get when you're going up against somebody like Sissoko. You've got to be equally as nasty. You know, you've got to be able to run the 100 meters with her and just get over the line by tugging her back if you have to, because Sissoko, she'll take no prisoners, absolutely no prisoners. So,
again, can I correct you? There's not nastiness going on. It's just passion, right?
I call it nastiness. I call it shithousery nastiness. I know what you mean, but what I'm saying is, what you know, it's know your opposition. And you know that, as I say, if you're on a 100-meter sprint with her, she is going to do everything she can to get over that line before you. And you've got to match that if you're going up against a one-on-one. So that's my only, hesitance with Leah.
But then what do you do about that then with a player such as talented as she is? You know, I'd love to have her at West Ham. But then, what is that down to Skinner? What's wrong?
I collect her in training every day. If I was a right back, I'd collect her in training every day. You've got to get them used to it. I know it's ridiculous. It sounds stupid. I know it does. But you've got to get them used to it. Look, it's not going to hurt. You want Sissoko bouncing off her, don't you? If you're Galton, you want Sissoko coming off his shoulder, bouncing off his shoulder like that. Or you've got to be able to just get your arm in front of Sissoko, get her around you. But Sissoko, she's a very, very talented footballer, but she's exceptionally tenacious. So you've just got to work out how to go around and how to beat a player of that nature. It's very similar, really much across the park. So when I talk about a hold-up player, you've got to be able to quickly look over your shoulder, see where your centre half is, work out which way you're going to go to stop that centre half coming into you. There's a way of things, but that's what I used to do anyway. I used to clag people in training.
I agree with Joe a little bit. I think in the first time, I think Leah played her actually quite well. I just think, Joe, what do you think? Just quickly before I move on to Andrew and John, and then we'll kind of move it on just a little bit. What do you think in terms of United? Where do you think? Because that's, like I said, I'm pretty sure it's 11 points now in the last 10 minutes of a game, or 15 that we've dropped this season. Obviously, you mentioned that was West Ham maybe a couple of seasons ago. What do you think, just watching the game on Wednesday, do you put that down to? Do you think maybe it's a mentality switch? Because in the second half, we were a completely different team. We just, whether it was fitness, some of our front line, especially Thomas, Russo and Galton, are absolutely shattered. Where do you think that kind of lies in? Do you think it's maybe mentality? Do you think Skinner told them to sit off? Do you think it's down to fitness? I mean, it could be a bit of all three, but...
The latter. I think it's a combination of all three. Again, I think if you speak to any West Ham fan, was really surprised at the lack of fitness. I mean, we've got quite a small squad. I think actually we've got one or two players more than you. But it's difficult when you get a couple of injuries, and you've got like key players missing. It's very, very difficult. But ultimately, all our ingredients are coming together this season more than anyone else. And it's mentality, I think, really, that's really working. It's, the real basics, getting down to the basics, is people understanding what the badge is about as well. So they're fighting for the badge. And it's going to sound really corny and so cliche, but I mean, we've got a couple of West Ham United players, one being a season ticket holder as well, Kate Longhurst, and she's so passionate. She's even given sort of halftime talks and talking to the team as well about West Ham and what it means. That's the difference. That's where we are now. If we'd have started off that way at the beginning, we'd have been flying now. We'd have been above you, I'm pretty sure.
God, that's a damning statement right there. Could have been behind.
To sneak one in. Come on, Connor. Come on. There's one of me. There's four of you. Come on.
It's a fair statement, I think, and I think I do agree, particularly in the second half. I thought we were up for it I mean, don't get me wrong, the conditions were horrendous. I think in the first half, both teams struggled to kind of adapt, and it worried me at one point because I thought, oh God, if this carries on lashing down, it might be abandoned. We've got a hell of a drive home with.
Would have been better, Connor.
Well, potentially, yeah, but not from my petrol money. It wouldn't have been. So, I'll come back to you, Joe, because I'm conscious you've got to shoot off shortly. But I will come back to you with one final question in a moment. But Andrew, for yourself, then, like I just said there, that's 11 points now from winning positions in the last 10, 15 minutes. What did you see from West Ham then that was encouraging, that if we do get in this position again, and it is very likely in our last 5 games, that we can actually get over the line? Because we've done it against Arsenal. We did it in the Cup. I know we didn't do it in the league, but we did it against Arsenal in the Cup, but that was only holding on for 10 minutes or so. Were there any positives that you saw from the West Ham game that you think it shows that we can take it into the next 5?
I think probably one was seeing Jade Moore, because that's why I thought when Skinner brought it on, he was trying to get more control back into the game, and I was like, because like West Ham were getting stronger and stronger, and they were pushing us, and I was like, we're risking, conceding a goal. And I thought when Jade Moore came on, she might be key in the next 5 games for us, where we might be at 1-0 up, and we're having to shore up the midfield and helping the defence out as well. And I think with the West Ham game, we just was lacking that bit of cutting edge as well. Okay, we went 1-0 up, but as I say, it's been like our 3rd game in like the space of 12 days. So, and I think up to the Everton game, we'll have a 10-day rest. So, and it'll give those chance for those players that have been injured or been out to get back. So the likes of Hayley Ladd as well. So we have definitely missed her in the midfield, and you can see the crucial role she's been playing in the midfield, and also like our defence as well with Aoife Mannion. What we thought was like a minor knee injury has just turned into something. We're like, she hasn't played since January, and we're like, this only sounded like it was only going to be a few weeks. So I don't know whether United were being cautious when I think they said there was like fluid on her knee, but they didn't quite say. They just quite say how long it was going to take for her to come back. Obviously, losing Millie as well was a big blow as well. But I just think for these next 10 days, say work on what we're going to do for that Everton game, but also get some of those players back because they're going to be needed as well. And I think Skin was asked a question about the perceived lack of rotation, and obviously we've got those signings in January, but injuries have just depleted us a bit. So he said about rotations, he said, I trust my players, I always do, but he says he's been very clear on that. But I think he needs a few more players so he can be able to rotate in those games as well. So it's just, I just think, going forward, it's like if we can get those players back, we'll be able to rotate a bit more, and hopefully can see out games. And especially with I think Jade Moore, she could play a crucial role in getting us more control in games as well.
And the same question for yourself then, John. What positive would you take maybe from the West Ham game, and anything that we could learn, as Skinner said in his interview, moving forward now into because it's the pressure's on for the next one. It's at Old Trafford. It's going to be a big crowd. If we're going to take positives, we're going to have to make sure we get them right into the next one in particular.
Yeah, well, Zellum, Sue mentioned before there, she's a very competent defender, isn't she? So that was a positive sign. Like Andrew mentioned, Jade Moore. I also think it's a positive that Toon got the goal as well, albeit it was deflected because, like I say, she hadn't scored in 7 WSL games. I think the last one was the Villa game before Christmas. Obviously, she scored at Bridgewater in the FA Cup. I think it's good to see that. Obviously, Jay Moore made a debut. We need depth in that midfield, and hopefully we can start to see some of our players return going forwards. I thought aside from the corner at the end, I thought despite only one normal centre half, we actually defended relatively well before then. So we just got to learn to see out games, and very often when you think of the successes, like City are picking up 1-0s, aren't they? 1-0 against us, 1-0 against Tottenham. They didn't play particularly well, but the ground did our result. We have to learn to do that if we're going to succeed going forward. So hopefully that will happen. And if West Ham play like that, hopefully they'll pick up a result against City as well in a few weeks.
That is the one game I'm looking at, thinking if City are going to drop. I hope it's that one. That kind of leads me on to my final question off the back of the West Ham game. Then, Joe, I'll come to you first. Then, we got 5 games left, I believe now. For both sides, we've definitely got 5, and so have you. Where do you think, obviously, West Ham are going to finish, and where do you think United are going to end up? I'm really hoping you're going to give us a positive answer here.
I'm glad we're not sitting in a pub together. Can I just say that? Okay, completely truthful here. I think from what I saw, the way you played on Wednesday, I think Man City are going to come above you. And I think they're going to get to 3rd. And I think, I mean, like you said, you've got ladder, is it? And you've just got more coming back in, so that you said you might have So sometimes that one player makes all the difference in the end. And sometimes that can do it for you. I'm waffling on a little bit here because I'm trying to be as diplomatic as I possibly can, but I must admit I was surprised.
Don't be diplomatic.
I was really surprised that you didn't hold on. I think it was a very scrappy goal. We're very, very disappointed not to have dealt with that corner, to be fair. We really was. 3 chances on goal. That should have been dealt with. That was diabolical for us, really, to be fair. So I think we were pretty even matches on shots as well, I think, on target. But you had more shots in general, but you had more shots on target. I think it was pretty much 6-3, something like that. So, I think we're going to get at least another 6 points from the matches we've got coming up. I think we'll have another draw with you. Can't wait to come up. See you boys. Going to buy me a drink.
You've only lost one at home this season, haven't you, though? I think Chelsea. So you can get something against City then, can't you?
Do you know what? We've got the belief as well to be anything. I said the points that we've dropped in the early of the season, we could have been a lot higher as well. And I think that's key, really. And to be fair, along with Arsenal, we're the only teams in the WSL that have scored at every single home match as well. And I think that's shown the fight in us as well. And having the people back in the stands, obviously, is a massive difference.
Yeah, definitely. I wouldn't be surprised if West Ham, I'm just looking at your fixtures now. So, Brighton, City, Reading away, United away, and Arsenal at home. Yeah, I'd expect 6 points probably from them.
I think the top 6 stay as they are. I think we'll get in and we'll beat City and we'll finish 3rd.
I'm not too sure. I mean, Joe, just quickly, because I don't want to keep you, if you've got to shoot off.
No, you're fine.
Where do you think that if United are going to get it, where do you think? I'm trying to, because I'm not going to lie, walking out of the ground Wednesday, I got it in my head that it was gone. But thinking now, I'm thinking it's still in our hands technically.
It is.
But where do you think we could then maybe get those points over City? Because if we win every game, we should get, depending on goal difference, we've still got the gap, or we'll be level points with City, and then it'll be goal difference.
Oh, you got us in City. Who else have you got?
We got Chelsea away on the last day.
we got Brighton and Everton.
And
Brighton and Everton.
As well.
And Villa, yeah.
Yeah, Brighton, Everton. And it all depends, doesn't it? I mean, you've not got there's no battle down the bottom, to be fair, so you should be all right. Shouldn't be an issue with that, to be fair. But Yeah, Chelsea, it's like us, our last match away is Arsenal. I can't see you beating Chelsea at the moment, to be fair. The way, again, it's down to fitness. I mean, you know, if you're that tired playing against us, yeah, the conditions were bad, but we had the same conditions. We was on the same pitch, you know, so yeah. Brighton, Everton, I think you'll pick it up. Man City, I think you might get a draw, to be fair. But again, it depends on your fitness, doesn't it?
Yeah, I think that is the key thing. That's the key thing, obviously, when we continue talking on the show. It is all down to fitness. And from what I hear from people and around the club and everything else, that this isn't just this season. We've been unfit ever since we've come into the pyramid. And it's a shame because, like you said, it is costing us. I don't think it was a lack of fight. I think you only have to look at the players' expressions coming off the pitch Wednesday night to see that it's not for want of trying. But I think anyone who's played football will tell you that once you get tired, and that's where you got to be mentally strong. Once you get tired in your legs and that starts to filter through to your brain, you start thinking it, then you maybe won't jump as high for that header. You won't go in as strong for that tackle. I think that's ultimately what happened. We thought it's only West Ham. Maybe we can, in no disrespect there, but I'm sure the players thought it's only we can sit back just a little bit and afford to maybe, but you can't anymore. I've said this all season. I think you said it earlier, Joe. This has got to be the most exciting WSL season because you can't just go into places anymore and go, oh, well, it's only Reading, it's only Brighton, whoever it is. We can beat these because you can't anymore. And I think West Ham are probably key to that because obviously you got the win over City earlier on, and obviously in the season, hoping for a repeat of that, do the double. And there has been some shock results. You only have to look up and down the pyramid. So it's for United fans, it's not over, is it? Because I'm trying to get some optimism here, but it's not over.
Like you said, look, it is in your hands ultimately, you know. But again, you know, when you look at the fixtures, let's be a little bit more realistic as well as what people are fighting for here, you know. And I don't, you know, Man City had a terrible start to the season, the worst they've ever had in the WSL, and they've picked up now, you know. But again, I'm not going to say again, but it is down to fitness. I mean, what is it? Is it your facilities? What's going on? But I don't know. I think mentality is key though, and I think that will work against you because what I saw, it looked like they wasn't fighting at the end. So whether it was because, like you said, they were tired, to me, it looked like they wasn't fighting at the end to me. But that's might have been where I was sitting. Again, I'm trying to be diplomatic here. No. But I think mentally, this is what's going to lose you a couple of matches that you should be winning.
It's interesting hearing it from the outside. Like I said, because obviously as fans, we'll always kind of defend the players to as you would with any club. It is interesting hearing it from another fan's perspective. Obviously, we were behind the goal. The West Ham goal was the other end of the pitch, so it looked much. I didn't even know how it went in. I was too nervous to look. To me, I think I was looking through a scarf, so I didn't fully see the goal in real time. But yeah, but it's an interest, and it's a damning shout as well because if it is mentality, it's the hardest thing in football to teach because I don't even think you can fully teach it. It's something the players are gonna have to pick up. I'm just
and kind of is it disrespecting the other, like you say, disrespecting and just thinking you're going to go, oh, we can beat these guys, that's it, not got to think about it, so you lose focus just for a few minutes, and that's where people make mistakes as well, you know. So it's the lack of respect, and that's the part of the mentality that I'm talking about as well. So it's all of those ingredients into one. Sorry, Connor, I jumped in.
I agree. I think we have done that this season. I think especially at the start, I think we went on that winning run. Obviously we kept all the clean sheets. But and I thought when we beat Arsenal in the Conti Cup, I thought we've got past that barrier now. We've kept a clean sheet away at Arsenal. We've hung on, but we weren't expecting to hang on for 40 odd minutes. That was only for, I mean, it felt like 40 minutes, but it was only like 10 minutes. I don't even think it was that. It was about 5 minutes or so. So yeah, Sang, you are right. Everyone laughed at me on the Monday show. I said that we would draw, and I said 1-1, and everyone laughed at me on the show, going, "You think you're going to draw with West Ham?" Well, we did.
Everyone was. I predicted a narrow 2-1, but I didn't think we'd go then wipe the floor with West Ham at all. I thought it'd be a close game. But
it goes back to what we've said, isn't it? Everyone, I think, underestimated West Ham in terms of the fitness, maybe the mentality, whatever it was. We all went there, and rightfully so. And when you look at positions in the league, you know, maybe player per player, you'd argue that ours is probably better. But that doesn't necessarily win you a game, does it?
I don't think players underestimate other teams. I think as players, you have to go in with the mentality we're going to win. You have to. When you walk into that changing room and you pull on that shirt, you've got to make, we're going to win tonight, today. We're going to win our personal battles. We're going to go out there and we're going to steamroll the opposition, because the West Ham girls should have been thinking exactly the same thing. They're coming into our backyard. We're going to turn them over. You have to do that. So I don't think there was any disrespect from either side in terms of players. There is with fans, though, and therein lies the issue with fans, because we have it, in the men's side. We were on a show last night, weren't we, John? And one of the lads was saying, well, we should be beating Athletic Madrid. Really? Should you? You've got no damn right to win any game of football unless you go out and then you play and you earn it, And this is what I was saying, Joe, about, I'm not saying we allowed you to come back into the game, but you forced your way back into the game. Now, whether we made it easier for you, that's a different debate. But you still forced your way back into that game of football, and you got what you wanted. So that's what you guys, in my opinion, should be taken away from it.
I was going to say, just on Stu's point, Annual's kind of, I'm just thinking United are capable of blowing teams away, as we've shown in those 5-0 demolitions of Villa and Birmingham. We've also scored 3 or more in games against Leicester, Reading and Tottenham, but we've yet to win a WSL game by 1 goal all season. So I don't know, say we're coming to the business end of the season now, and obviously
absolutely
fitness is playing a key, and obviously injuries as well. So it's sort of say these last 5 games for all teams is going to prove crucial for where everybody finishes in the table. So it's just.
But the interesting thing is, Andrew, I remember a couple of weeks ago, City had a 17-year-old goalkeeper between the posts.
Very good keeper.
Very good goalkeeper. Don't get me wrong, but she was 17, and you look at her and you think she looks nervous, and then you realise she's at the top of her game. She's at elite level women's football, and that's what you've got to contend with. Sometimes you've got to bear in mind that you've got an elite player on that pitch. He's pulled on a West Ham shirt, United shirt, a City shirt, Chelsea shirt. They're all elite level players for women's football. It's really strange.
You've led me on nicely, Andrew, to the final topic, and obviously it is the one on the thumbnail. Joe, I appreciate if you need to jump off. You need to. If not, you can stick around if you want to talk.
Is that
about
okay options. If I go now?
Yeah. No problem.
I'm scared what the next question is going to be, boys. To be fair, no, we've got to go. But listen, thanks ever so much. Appreciate that.
Great.
Right.
Thanks for coming on.
Take care, guys. All right. Looking forward to the rematch, right?
Yes. Let us know if you're there, and we'll
definitely
get revenge.
Yeah. We get revenge. We get revenge. See you later.
Nice one. See you in a bit.
Bye.
So yeah, you've kind of led me on, obviously, to the topic on the thumbnail. Can we win all 5? Got 5 games for people who don't know. Obviously, we've got the Everton Old Trafford game. Then we've got Brighton at home at Lee. Then there's the international break, so it's a 2-3 week gap. And we've got Aston Villa away, West Ham at home, and then obviously that all-important Chelsea away on the last game of the season. Let's go around the house and just have a chat about those games, because I've got slight reservations over the Old Trafford game, especially if fitness is a massive issue. Because if we're struggling at the moment, fitness on an Old Trafford pitch, it's a much bigger pitch. So let's just go around the house. If we're going reverse order this time, because John, just for yourself and quite simply, can we win all 5 before we go into more detail on each one?
Well, you have to believe that you can, as Stu mentioned, you have to believe you can go and win all 5. Obviously, you got to take a game at a time, and obviously the Chelsea game. I don't think we've ever beaten them, have we? But you've got to go into the mentality believing you can win every game, and I think the Everton game it can work both ways, because we're not used to playing there. But on the flip side, there'll be a crowd there, fully supportive. It might just be the game that you need to get back on track. Brighton, they've been a little bit hit and miss this season. Some games they played well and got some good results. Then other games they get battered. So that'll be a tricky one. I think it's helpful that we got 2 home games effectively, and then we got the international break, and then it gives us a chance. What I would say is that we definitely have to win those 4 games, in my opinion, to stand a chance. And then if we do pick up wins, you never know. City might just slip up in one game, and then we'll have the Chelsea game, won't they? Which, you know, they could be fighting for the title that day, so that could be as unpredictable as anything. But yeah, you got to have the belief you can go and win them all. But obviously, it'll be a challenge.
Go on. We'll go around the house before we go into detail. Andrew, just same question for yourself.
It's a tricky one. It is in our hands, and I say United, we're on the edge of becoming one of the best teams in the WSL as well, but we can't in these next 5 games be dropping any points, because that's going to leave us falling short for Champions League qualification for the 2nd season in a row. I mean, the Chelsea game, I say it might be all riding on of us for that to get Champions League, but it also depends on Chelsea. They could be fighting for the title still, or they could have already won it, or Arsenal have won it, and Chelsea got nothing left to play for. So, but the return game against West Ham is going to be tough as well, because they'll have been buoyed by that result they got against us. So they'll be wanting to come to LSV and do it again to us. So I can see us hopefully picking up points against, or 3 points against Everton, Brighton and Villa. It's just those last 2 games are going to be the toughest. So, and I feel like there's going to be many more twists and turns to come. But I know West Ham are going to play City as well, so they could potentially do us a favour as well. And City have also got Reading on the away on the last day of the season. But I say we're more than capable of doing it. It's getting those injured players all back, and then we've gotten in a strong enough squad to then, like those games where we might be struggling or need more control, where we're having to chase to get another goal to get win the game, then we can get those players on and effectively change the game. So I think that's what's skinning these now. These next 10 days to get all those players back, and then just make that one final push, and hopefully come the end of the season away at Chelsea, we're all celebrating being in the Champions League next season.
And Stu, same for yourself. Can we win all 5?
Well, you believe it or not, you concentrate on 4 games. You concentrate on 4 out of the 5. You forget Chelsea, you put it away, you park it. Because when you come to Chelsea, if you haven't won those 4 games, worrying about Chelsea is never going to work. So park Chelsea. Let's concentrate on these 4 games. And if I was Skinner, we aren't playing at home for, crikey, 2 weeks now, are we? 2.5 weeks, I think. Almost even 3 weeks. I can't.
Well, yeah, Old Trafford, but yeah, Lee is. It's first week in April, 3rd of April, I think it is.
Yeah, so we've still got 2 and a bit weeks. So if I was Skinner, I would imagine this week he'll be having them train at Old Trafford 2 or 3 times. I know I would. I'll be looking at getting an hour on the pitch, getting in there as much as I can in and around Old Trafford, looking at the size of the pitch and concentrating purely on fitness. If I was a player and I've been struggling for fitness, I'd be looking at my in-game management. Just personally, I'll be looking at my own in-game management and what I need to do to make sure that I can last 90 minutes, 95 minutes at a high level. Because if fitness is a problem, as much as it's down to the coaches to get this fitness out of them, it's always down to the player themselves to do that. So let's concentrate on those 4 games, park Chelsea for the minute, because as Andrew and John have quite rightly said, we don't know when we come to Chelsea where we'll be. Will we need to beat Chelsea? Will we need a draw against Chelsea? Or if we lose, does it matter? We won't know until we played our 4 games, and those 4 games have played out. So those are the key games for us. And you take one game, it's a cliche, one game at a time. But that's how I would approach it if I was Skinner.
Take the Chelsea game out of this equation, and if we just look at it as 4, so West Ham at home, Villa away, Brighton at home, Everton at Old Trafford. Which one of those do you guys think then is the if there was a banana skin game? I said I had West Ham away as our banana skin game. Obviously, we've already played that card now. We've already dropped 2 points. Which one would you say is that then? We'll kind of go around quickly on that. Is it potentially Old Trafford? Is it Villa away? Is it West Ham again? Let's say Chelsea aside, because that's the obvious one. Which one are those for?
I think Villa away will be a tricky task. I don't think it'll be an easy task. I know they're not playing great football, but I expect us to beat Everton. I'd expect us to beat Brighton. But I think Villa away would be quite difficult. They've got one particular player, a bit of a pin-up, who's on fire at the minute, isn't she? That Swedish or Norwegian girl, that blonde thing. That's yeah. She's absolutely on fire at the minute, isn't she? She's playing, good football. And Villa look like they're well organised and a difficult team. Having said that, I would still expect us to go in. I think we're too strong for Villa. We're too strong for Everton. And I think we're too strong for West Ham, actually. And I think we will beat West Ham. I expect us to pick up 3 points in every game, but for me, it would be Villa. I think it'd be a tough old game.
Andrew, for yourself, obviously, we've seen Villa twice now this season. Obviously, when we played them and we beat them 5-0, and then obviously when we went down there to watch them against West Ham, funnily enough, on that Sunday rainy afternoon over in Warsaw. Do you agree with Stu then? Is that maybe the one game, the banana skin out of the 4? Or were you going to throw a curveball?
I think, as Stu said, I think we might be too strong, and I think we can force mistakes out of it. Like when they played, we saw them play against West Ham. Like I think one of their goals, the mistake was, I think their goalkeeper Hannah Hampton had played it out, and then West Ham nicked the ball and then literally scored. And it was like we can force these mistakes and then get the win. I think the one is the West Ham game at LSV. I just think they'll be looking to do what they did against just their ground. So West Ham are a tough side. Like I say, they're very strong, especially their defence was. I mean, like I was saying earlier, Sissoko was like, I think there's one moment in the first half. I'm trying to remember who had the shot. Oh, I think was it Tooney? Tooney really had the shot, and Sissoko just literally got a foot on the ball and knocked it away. And I was like, it's going to be, West Ham's going to be difficult. Cause I just think,
I won't say live what I was saying watching it on the TV.
Animals.
Love her. So they got some big, and West Ham, they got some big personalities in their squad, like from Kate Longhurst to Gilly Flatterly as well. So I was pretty impressed by West Ham. They just dug in there. Then even though we was having our chances, they just kept us from scoring another one, and then just like nicked it at the end. So they'll try and give us a surprise at LSV, but hopefully we don't allow them to do that, and we just take all 3 points again.
Yeah, and John, same for yourself. Before I've got one other question, and I will go back to Lancel's comment as well from earlier on. But John, for yourself.
But I think Everton. I think only the surroundings might get the better of us. For it's worth also mentioning, it'll be a large pitch for us. I'll have to get used to it, but Everton won't be used to it either.
Yeah,
so I don't think we should be fearing Everton in particular. Brighton might be an interesting one because, like I say, they have been a bit hit and miss at times. Like the ones where you don't really know what you're gonna get, and ironically, it was there. You look back to early in the season when we first played them. That we considered that a tricky game when we played them at their place, and we beat them 2-0, and that's what led to our winning run. I think I probably agree with you. I think the Villa one's probably the trickiest because I think away from home this season has probably been our Achilles heel because a lot of the games we dropped points in have been away from home. So I think that big trick on West Ham again is another one, but it will be our final home game of the season, won't it? So you might have the feeling, let's go out with a bit of a bang, kind of thing, and just put in a good performance. So yeah, probably Villa, I'd say. But it'll be interesting to see how we do if we go 1-0 down in one of those games, because there aren't many games where we haven't conceded the first goal this season. So, if we go 1-0 down in one of these games, it'll be a test of character.
Definitely. I've just before Lanzel, I come back to your comment about Skinner, and then we'll look to wrap up. I always like a quick fire question on my shows, and it's kind of going along the bottom there. I'm gonna throw a question to each of you. We've got 5 games left. Obviously, you can only bring one player back from injury to play all 5 of those games. Now we've got Aoife Mannion, Millie Turner, Kirsty Smith, Lucy Stan, Hayley Ladd, Senior Brun. Who else have we got out? I'm trying to think of else. There's one more, and I can't think of who it is.
but that was, I don't know, that was
Yes,
COVID.
we'll have Maria in there as well.
The greatest defender of all time.
So go to each of you then. If you can only bring one back to play all 5 of those games, who would it be? I'll go to you first, Stu.
So mine would be Thorlad. So that's a morph of Maria and Hayley Ladd. So that's my answer to you. It's got to be Ladd for me. I love Thor. She knows I do because I have told her. And no, but I think Hayley Ladd because we need that dominance in the middle of the park. So Hayley Ladd for me.
Yeah, I'm going to go with... this is tricky.
Go with Thor, Andrew. That'll be good then. So we've got Ladd on.
I'm leaning between like Ladd, but also Eva Mannion. I just think we just need Eva Mannion back in the defence. I know Millie Turner is back in training, but I don't know if she's got full contact training. Whether we might see her before the end of the season, I don't know. But Eva Mannion might just be the key. Her and Diane together, like I say, just a real rock solid defence. So we don't end up conceding those late goals. So I just think I'm just hoping this knee injury is that she's got is like it's all sorted, and in 10 days' time she's walking out onto the Old Trafford pitch.
Yeah, and John.
I was gonna use Mannion and Ladd, but no, I think Eva Mannion's been a big miss, obviously, in the defence, and we need to get centre-halves back in that. But yeah, I think Ladd made a huge difference in midfield when she was playing, and she was instrumental in that. So a bit close between. You could go with, but I'm probably just about to say Ladd, though.
And I'm going to surprise you all and say Eva Mannion for me, purely on the basis that I think we've got a few midfielders that can fill in there. If we get one more injury to centre half, we've got none. So I if there was somebody, I know that I think Landry, you are right. I think Mannion is going to be out for the season now. She's not even travelling with the squad anymore, and I don't even know if she's back in training yet. Whereas Millie, it looks like she is. How far away she is, I don't know. But in this hypothetical game, who could I bring back? I'm going to pick Eva Mannion because I think we're running out of defenders at the moment.
We should have a special mention for Caldwell though, because she's been fit throughout. You know, in fact, she brought in a first game. Was it the Arsenal game in the league? Can't remember now, but all the others got injured, and she's been consistent. So, no, it was a good sign in January. That so, I was an honourable mention to her for being solid.
Yeah, definitely. I'll let you wrap up the show, Stu. Just bear with me 2 seconds. I'm going to come back to you with a question. I said I'd come back to it, Lance. So you see, I never forget a comment. You said it 45 minutes ago, so thanks for waiting. Question for the panel. So we will just all answer this briefly then. Talking about Skinner being proactive or reactive in regards to game management. Obviously, he's interested to hear your thoughts, Stu, actually. So I'm going to come to you last. I'm going to make Lanza wait a little bit longer because I know he's waiting for your thoughts. John, just for yourself then, what do you think in terms of Skinner being proactive or reactive? Or do you think he is a bit of both?
I think it's difficult to say because I think there have been times where he has been proactive when it came to particularly that winning run we had, that he was identifying ways to win, get Ladd and about Reese in the team. So I think he was proactive in that case, but there have been times he's been reactive though. Like for example, you think of the City League game in February where he went defensive, didn't he? And I think, but although in fairness to in that game we were very reactive, City were by far the dominant team. They kept it 0-0, but then he brought Martha on, didn't he, up front? And I thought she allowed us to play a bit better in the second half. Although we did end up losing the game, I think that we started to play a bit better. But I think there are times where he is slow to respond to incidents in the game, so at times he is reactive, but I wouldn't say it's one or the other. It's a case where at times he is proactive, but other times he's maybe slightly defensive.
Andrew?
I can say probably a bit of both. I'll take two examples, like the Reading game where we won 3-1. I mean, before that game, we're saying he's injured. We know what Reading about. We've got to get on the front foot and, hit them early, and like, which we pretty much did. And then whereas like the West Ham game, like the second half, you could see he was like starting to lose control, and he's like, "Oh, I've got," because he swapped, brought on Jade Moore for Vilde-Bouwreis, and I thought he just wanted that bit more control in the midfield. So when West Ham were attacking us, we could just cut them out so we could retrieve the ball and start to move it up the field. Obviously, it didn't work out the way we planned. We conceded that late goal, but I think he's a bit of both. He can, like I say, he likes to be playing this like attacking football, but also he can see in the game where things are not quite right, and he'll make those changes to make United even better. So I think he's a bit of both in that respect.
And go on, Stu, I'll let you have the final word on this one.
So the lads are right, actually. He is a bit of both. But for me, I'm not so sure he reads the game good enough at this level just yet. And that's why you have a proactive and a reactive manager, because there's an inability to actually read the game and watch the game unfold and deal with it correctly. And I do wonder whether or not he's got a big enough team, whether he's got whether he needs a few more analysts to do his job for him in terms of looking at the opposition and working their weak points and working out how we can get at them. But the lads are spot on, really, because there are times where he has been proactive and he has made proactive changes, but sometimes when you're a reactive manager, it's too late. So for me, he doesn't read the game well enough from start to finish. And I think that's the problem, why you've got an in-between manager that is proactive and reactive. If you read the game easier, looked at what you got out on the field personnel-wise, looked at what you've got on the bench, and looked at how you can change it. As a manager, you should be looking at this from 20 minutes in. So 20 minutes into a game, you'll always see a pattern of play, whatever that pattern of play is, whether we're dominant, they're dominant, whether it's a scrappy game, whether it's a skillful game, there's always a pattern of play that evolves from 20, 25 minutes. Then you should be looking at what's likely to work and what's likely not to work. And this is where you should be talking to your coaches. You should be making notes. This is what I need to do. Leah Galton's tucking in too much. She's not listening to me. She's not going out. I'm just using spitballing in terms of that. And then when you go in at half time, that's when you've got to start to look to change it. All right. So that's why he's in between. And that's why I say he doesn't read the game well enough. I hope that answers your question.
Yeah, that's a fair point. I got literally nothing to add to what you guys have said, and no worries, Lanzo. We'll always try and get through the comments. We'll wrap it up there then. Concept for the rest of the week. Obviously, no match on Sunday, so on the road will be back again. Benny and Matt will be back tomorrow, of course. Lots of things to talk about tomorrow across all of the WSL. There's been plenty of news this week, so there's lots for those two to talk about tomorrow. Like I said, AFU on the road, we'll be back on Sunday. Stourbridge will be playing, obviously, and watching the F1. Barry will be down at Stevenage, and I'm sure Matt and Gareth and the guys up there will be off to FC. And then next week, stay tuned. We've got a lot of Old Trafford content coming. We've got a lot of good stuff coming throughout the week in the build-up. So whole of next week will be Old Trafford build-up right the way through to next Sunday as well. So make sure you're following all these guys. Thanks as ever for coming on.
Pleasure.
And we'll see you all soon.